saving an innocent life. She wasn't prepared for this. She never planned it. It took her by surprise. She had tried to tell herself that all will be well. God has forgiven her, and it was time she forgave herself too. How on earth, she thought, would she ever cope with the fact that she was going to raise a child as a single mother? When Jerusha was a senior in high school, her parents moved to Mooresville, a town which was roughly 35 miles south of Longfield. A lover of volleyball, Jerusha stayed back in Longfield to continue playing for her high school team with the hopes of getting a scholarship to the University of Michigan. At 5 foot and 8 inches, she believed that she had all it takes to secure that scholarship. She was one of the best on the field and had helped her school win the inter-school championship twice. Eventually, she got it. Her hard work paid off. Mitch, her childhood friend, also got a football scholarship to study in the same university. It was nothing short of a miracle for him because it was the last available slot, and this was because someone backed out at the last minute. Jerusha grew up in a modest home. Her parents both worked extremely hard to provide for her and her 2 siblings, Clint and Emma. As the oldest of the 3, she spent most of her time taking care of them in the absence of her parents. She, as a kid, was extremely shy and felt more comfortable on the field than in real social situations. So even if she was asked when she first met Mitch, she can't tell. But she was told by her aunt that it was at catechism classes. Even though Jerusha and Mitch may have known each other since they were kids, it wasn't until her sophomore year in high school that Jerusha began to notice Mitch, and the noticing was mutual. One could easily guess how that came about. Mitch, like Jerusha, was a lover of sports, while Jerusha was very much into volleyball. She enjoyed watching football, and Mitch was a star football player. Their love for the game was the bond that culminated in a marriage years later. But that will be before some incidences that almost ruined everything. From going to watch Mitch play on the school team, to going home together and also meeting in church regularly, the bond of their friendship strengthened. Mitch finally asked her out for a date. It happened over the phone. That day, she could hear from the background Mitch's older brother, Michael, whispering in the background, "Just ask her, ask her. She really likes you." When he did eventually, she couldn't hide her excitement as she answered yes. And since then, they became almost inseparable. As they spent time together, they became good friends. that in many ways is responsible for the fact that they have remained friends since then. But there were also days that Jerusha wasn't so sure that the relationship would last yet. She always loved him. Love grew between them as they talked on the phone every night and went on dates regularly. They mostly shared about their hopes for the future, and Mitch will tell her about how smooth his journey to becoming a professional footballer was going. Everything Mitch dreamed, Jerusha dreamed along with him. Mitch was actually her first love and only love. Fate joined them in the same university, and they both got there on scholarship. Being in the same school also meant that they were able to see each other regularly. But shortly before the end of their freshman year, Jerusha discovered she was pregnant. When she first suspected that she could be pregnant, she visited a family planning center. After the results came out positive, a social worker took her into the office and asked her what she wanted to do with the pregnancy. "I don't know," was all she mustered, the courage to say amidst the tears that was choking her throat. Her insides churned and tangled into a knot when she thought about how disappointed her mother and grandparents would be when they heard the news. Even though that was going to be hard, she didn't even want to think about having an abortion. She knew she was carrying a baby, an innocent life. Though she never planned to have a child at this point of her life. She was only 18. There was no way she could destroy the life that was growing inside her. In the Youth for Christ YFC group she and Mitch were part of on campus, they have been taught about the sanctity of the human life and the evil of the pro-choice campaign that was getting momentum all over America. But there was a big problem. How was she to tell Mitch? What was going to be his reaction to the news? Would he accept that they keep the baby? If he accepts that they keep the baby, will that bring an end to his football career? What will her friends in school and YFC think about her? Does that mean she was also going to lose the scholarship she worked so hard to get? All of these questions kept running through her mind as she went back to her apartment. When she broke the news to Mitch, he was upset just like she anticipated. His distress stemmed from fear of what that will mean for his career. But he agreed with Jerusha about keeping the baby. "Jerusha, I wish you could reconsider your decision to keep this child," one of her friends who came visiting at her apartment said. "You are only 18. The timing is bad. You are still in college and you don't have any way to support yourself, much less a baby." Jerusha's mind was already made up. "I'm not going to have an abortion. I have already disobeyed God's commandment by having sex outside marriage. Committing abortion will only make me a fornicator and a murderer. I made a bad choice And for every bad choice, there is a consequence. So allow me to deal with the results of my action. She was firm in her decision, and not even her friends could change her mind. Jerusha went on to have the baby, even though they didn't get married with Mitch until 3 years later. He was quite supportive. While she had to leave school and lose her scholarship, he continued. He finally got to play in the National Football League after he was signed by the Miami Dolphins.